lovely spooky crew. How are you all doing on this lovely, overcast, windy, slightly chilly October day? Spooky season. Feel it, embrace it. I know you do, that's why you're here watching me. I'll be relegated to the bedroom again because hubby's home. I feel weird filming in front of him, but I need to kick that into touch because it might go fine. And I don't actually have space, and not a messy kid's bedroom with walls that they just ugh. Anyway, yes, my face is painted. Halloween look is going up. I haven't done that for a while, so it's good. I have all my notes for a doozy of a story, but before we start, disclaimer: this story may or may not have ghosties. It may be validated, it may not be. It's a very complicated, contradictory, strange tale, but it was too good a tale to mess up. So I thought, what the heck? We would get into it. I would share it. It didn't take place this week, but the date, if you wanted to see it, you'd have to wait and get until next year. But again, I was a bit behind, but I thought it was just, it's sad and moving and one of those ones you get the feels when you're doing it. So I just thought, yes, I'm going to share this story with you lovely people. So, as always, to another episode of Adventure. Are you sitting comfortably? Shall we begin? Our tale is the tale of the ghost of the railway and the mourning woman. On the 13th of October 1928, a night mail train was also carrying passengers from Leeds to Bristol. They had just coming up to Charfield station in the wee hours of the morning, so maybe 1, 2-ish, something like that. Everything was going smooth. Further up the tracks, there was a goods truck, and the goods truck was being shunted. I'm sorry, this is a very sad tale, and it does affect me and give me the feels. But whenever I say shunted, I just think fucking Thomas. Sorry. Anyway, they were shunting that into a siding, and the signalman changed the signal to red so that the mail train would stop and the goods train would go off into its siding, and everything would be chef's kiss. But as this is one of my spooky tales, and knowing me and the sort of stories I tell sometimes in my ghost tales, if that had been the end of it, it wouldn't be a tale anyway, would it? So yeah, for whatever reason, some say there was really thick fog. The mail train driver saw the signal as green and carried on full steam ahead. Yeah, I know you know where this is going now. Seconds later, a horrifying crash happened. The mail train and the goods train smashed into each other. As it was the wee hours, a lot of the passengers that were on board were asleep, and the crash jolted them awake. Could you imagine the fear, because you were awakened by this crash? And anyway, the mail train went off the tracks and into another goods train, landing on its side with the first 3 carriages underneath a bridge. Now, the train hit with such force that James Gaston, a passenger obviously, was thrown through the train roof, landed on the road over the bridge. He subsequently had some really serious injuries, and he did unfortunately later die in hospital. And then, to make the whole horror even worse, the train had gas pipes laid for all the lighting and everything, and the crash made those pipes fracture, and obviously the ashes from the firebox made those first 3 carriages burst into flames. Nearby villagers woke to the sounds of passengers screaming as they were trapped in the fiery furnace of the carriage. Now, some of these poor passengers were trapped by their legs or arms under the wreckage, and they apparently were begging their rescuers to cut off their limbs so they didn't burn to death. In a harrowing passenger account of Mr. Lewis Huntley, we're told through his account that he told his wife to jump out of the carriage, which she did, and she was fine. But then he found his sister, and she was trapped from her waist down, and he tried to free her, but he couldn't, and he could see the flames creeping ever nearer, so he jumped as well, and he had to leave his sister to obviously burn to death. I'm hoping the smoke would have got her first, or blood loss from being trapped, even if it was internal bleeding, just something quick out of the way, because oh god, I would hate to burn alive. The thought of that, ugh, yeah, no, just horrible. The brave villagers that came to help them rescued them, and also the people that managed to jump free, I'm guessing, because you know it's a shock. Even if you're okay, you're in shock. They were taken to the nearby pub, the Railway Tavern. Over 30 people were treated for injuries, and 11 had grave injuries. When the fire had stopped much later, the bodies that were recovered were taken out to go through and, you know, to be claimed, and the coroner checked them and stuff like you would. And as you can imagine, the intensity of that fire was so strong, there wasn't really a lot left to identify the poor buggers. So they used personal items, rings, watches. Apparently someone was identified by a distinctive shirt. Now I keep thinking, wouldn't that have burnt up as well? Or unless it was in like a trunk that had not got really damaged and it was there. Because otherwise you're burnt, your clothes is going to burn too. That confused me, but anyway. But yes, apparently they did. The total number who perished in the official inquiry report was 16. And this is where it all starts getting extra weird. Now, they say that amongst the bodies recovered was the torsos of 2 children. Most people say a boy and a girl, some say two males. Near their torsos was a small foot still inside its shoe, which measured around 9 inches in length. And that's like the size of my little one's feet. The male was aged, they think, around 10 to 15. The girl, who could some say a boy, was only around 3 to 7 years old. They had no personal effects, and they were found close together near the Gloucester side of the bridge. These poor little puppers were never claimed by anyone. They were labelled as number 9 and 10, and despite publicising them nationwide, with no one coming forward to claim them, they were buried in a mass grave in the churchyard. And on the memorial stone that I think they put up in 1929, I will check that and put it in the video later, but I think it was around then. They are listed as well, but as 2 unknowns. Now, this is when rumours started circulating. Now, some people tried saying that they weren't children and it wasn't just children's torsos, it was actually mannequins, or it was the bodies of jockeys, and that's why they were small, and all these weird little things that it couldn't, you know, they were children. But some people think that because it was such a harrowing story nationwide to people, that they couldn't believe that no one would claim these little bodies. They started saying these rumours to make it more bearable for themselves. I don't know how that would work, but there we go. Some people say or they thought that maybe they were two waifs and strays that slept under the bridge a lot, and so that's why they were there when it happened. It would make sense if that was the case as to why they wouldn't have been claimed, because obviously, you know, waifs and strays, it could have been abandoned, orphaned, runaways from poorhouse, a bad bottom, you know, could be all sorts of reasons, so that could kind of make sense. But some thought they were the illegitimate children of a royal family, and that their very existence, including their death, had to be hushed up. Some were saying that something had happened with the mother, and for some unknown reason the mother abandoned them and had put them on the train to whatever fate they had. The inquest definitely did have 2 children down among the dead, and there was a porter who worked at Gloucester station, which was the last stop before Charfield station, who was collecting tickets and checking tickets, said, which goes more with maybe someone's children that shouldn't have been considered waifs and strays, but anyway, he said that he remembered seeing 2 young persons of reasonable means travelling unaccompanied. Now, with all this, so maybe they weren't illegitimate children of a well-to-do family, because there are lots of tales as well afterwards that when the memorial stone was put up, an oldish lady would come 2-3 times a year, including the anniversary of their death, and she would be dressed head to toe in all black, proper mourning clothes, and she was quite well to do. A lot of people say that she was always driven there in a chauffeur driven limo. Some people say that it was only ever a former German POV, Joe Kleibler, who was reluctant to talk about it, but he was the one who'd seen her. But then other tales of it say that in the she'd been seen a lot, so people knew about her, and it went from 1929 to then sometime in the 1950s where it stopped, so she probably died herself. And sometime in the 1950s, on one of her last visits, someone from the media, obviously heard about it, was trying to be there to see, saw her and approached her, but she ran away. There are people to this day that say that they have seen sightings of the ghost children, and that they stand side by side and they're holding hands and they look silently down the railway tracks, waiting for someone to claim them and to say who they were and for their bodies to properly be laid to rest. Some say that it's probably just rumours again, and that there are no confirmed witnesses who have actually come forward and said, yes, I've seen the ghost children, they're not, you know, it's all myth. And interestingly enough, on the paranormal database, where I get lots of little hints about different things I'm going to research and little ghostly things, they actually say that it isn't ghost children that haunt Charfield station in the area where the crash happened and everything. It is actually a woman all in black who is mourning, and you see her with her hands in her head in sadness and sorrow, not the children. So that's what I mean. Weird. Need to do the disclaimer because I don't know. I mean, some say there's no confirmed witnesses. Others say there were sightings and people have. Do you live around that area? Have you seen them yourself? Have you seen the mourning woman? Do you think they're real? Do you not? As someone who believes in ghosts, I would love to think partly that they're real, but also maybe that they're not, because as a mum as well, I would like my baby's spirits to be at rest and at peace and know that they were loved, and hopefully nothing like that would ever happen to them anyway. But yeah, it's a bit of a doozy. I'll put some pictures up when I'm editing. It was a really bad wreck, so yeah, not nice. It's horrible things that happen to people. Anyway, before we got really melancholy, and I know it's a season for doom and gloom, but yeah, if you liked it, thumbs up, ding-a-ling, all that jazz, subscribe, join my spooky crew, keep seeing weird, wonderful, sad, strange disclaimer tales with me. If you can't be good, be careful, enjoy your day. Thank you for spending some of it with me, listening to some creepy tales. Thank you for taking my hand once more and opening that crypt door coming down with me with our candles flickering to find some more dark, twisted tales. You are so worthy and so valued, and I appreciate all of you. Have a great day. I need to turn my clicker on because it keeps turning itself off. I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.